Good evening. It is 7 o'clock on Monday, May 18th, and I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Lansing City Council to order and ask that the clerk please call the roll.
Councilmember Carter.
Here.
Councilmember Garza.
Here.
Councilmember Hussein.
Here.
Councilmember Cost.
Here.
Councilmember Martinez.
Here.
Councilmember Navarez Martinez.
Here.
Councilmember Palivanoglu.
Present.
Councilmember Spatafor.
Present.
There are 8 members present, a quorum, and we are to the meditation and pledge of allegiance.
Thank you. Is there anyone that members of the council, city clerk, or the mayor's office would like us to keep in our thoughts this evening? Councilmember Cost.
Yeah, if we could keep the mayor in our thoughts tonight. I know that his family is having some health issues, so if we could just keep him in our thoughts and prayers, I would appreciate it.
Thank you. Others? Seeing none, please rise.
You have for approval the proceedings of May 11th.
Vice President Palivanoglu.
Thank you. I move the proceedings of May 11th as presented.
As proper motion, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
And we are to special ceremonies and presentations.
For that, I will recognize Councilmember Carter.
Thank you, President Spatafor. Will the Malcolm X Community Commission please come to the well? There we go, balance it out. Well, thank you for joining me. I'm honored to be reading this resolution today in honor of a beautiful birthday tomorrow on May 19th. So with that, I will read the resolution by the City Council of City of Lansing. Whereas on May 19th marks the birth of Malcolm X. El Haj Malik El Shabazz, born in 1925, whose life and legacy remain deeply connected to the city of Lansing. Malcolm X spent his formative years on the south side of Lansing, where he attended Pleasant Grove Elementary and West Junior High School. His early education experiences helped shape his worldview and future leadership. In 1958, he married his wife, Betty Shabazz, at the Lansing City Hall. Malcolm X emerged as a powerful advocate for human rights, dignity, and self-determination for Black Americans, challenging injustice and inspiring generations to confront inequality and systematic oppression. And honoring Malcolm X Day provides an opportunity for residents to reflect on the ongoing pursuit of equality, justice, and empowerment for African Americans, and to engage in meaningful dialogue about civil rights and social progress. The Lansing community continues to celebrate diversity, resilience, and contributions of African American leaders who have advanced the cause of freedom and human dignity. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Lansing City Council, by way of the Malcolm X Community Commission, hereby recognizes May 19th as Malcolm X Day in the city of Lansing, and that this resolution reaffirms the city's commitment to equality, justice, and the continued work of building a more inclusive and compassionate community for all. And with that, I will move the resolution.
That is a proper motion. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Congratulations.
So, good evening, and thank you to the Lansing City Council and to our mayor, Andy Shore, for this recognition, honoring the life and legacy of Malcolm X on the eve of what would have been his 101st birthday. When we speak the name Malcolm X, we are not just remembering a man. We are invoking a movement, a mindset, a mirror that still reflects back to us today. And tonight, we proudly stand before you as the Malcolm X Community Commission of Lansing, committed to preserving, educating, and advancing the legacy of one of the most influential human rights leaders in history, whose formative years were rooted right here in Lansing. Malcolm taught us to stand tall in a world that tried to shrink us. He taught us, love yourself, love your people, love your history. He rejected the idea that Blackness needed permission to exist in beauty or dignity. At a time when assimilation was pushed as survival, Malcolm X declared, no, we will define ourselves for ourselves. Our commission is working to connect the communities that shaped Malcolm X's journey, from Omaha to Lansing, Inkster, Boston, and New York, while creating opportunities for education, empowerment, and community action right here at home. And we invite the entire community to join us for a year of Malcolm X 101, as we honor his teachings, uplift his work, and continue building a stronger and more informed community together. So thank you so very much. Can we take a picture?
Oh.
I think you got the phone?
Here, I got you. Okay. No, we gotta get you in it.
Everybody be seen?
Yeah. We trying to tell y'all. Bring it in.
Thank you. Thank you once again, Council.
Okay, we are to comments by council members and the city clerk.
Any council members? Councilmember Martinez.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out and say thank you to the Economic Development and Planning Department for sponsoring me and a couple of others to go to the elected officials leadership training for MISHA's Building Michigan Communities Conference last week. I was able to learn about practical engagement and overview of affordable housing, community readiness, and policy and financing for housing. So thank you to the department.
Thank you. Are there others wishing to make remarks? Councilmember Navarez Martinez.
Yes, I wanted to mention that we are going to have our Ward 2 constituent contact meeting on Thursday, the 28th. I unfortunately will not be there, but one of our very illustrious Ward 2 residents, Tamara Carter, will be hosting the meeting on my behalf. And we're going to have some updates on all of the construction that we have going on throughout the ward. And so please come. Thank you. Oh, it's going to be at the Election Center on Jolly.
Councilmember Carter.
Yes, following that suit, we have our Your Voice at Large constituent contact meeting where we'll feature some representatives from the City of Lansing to Public Service Department, where we'll discuss questions or ask questions or response to questions about roads, sidewalks, trees, and much more. That's going to be on Saturday, June 27th from 10 to noon at the Neighborhood Empowerment Center, 600 West Maple Street.
Thank you. Councilmember Hussein.
Yeah, so we are fortunate in the third ward to have a number of neighborhood associations, business associations, black groups, really serving as kind of a source for their respective areas in West Lansing, the kind of sources of inclusiveness and advocacy, and kind of serving as liaisons between neighborhoods and local government. And so if you are in a neighborhood with an association, I highly encourage you to attend an upcoming meeting if that has not necessarily been a routine for you, and I certainly think you'll find value in it. That being said, Churchill Downs is actually meeting tomorrow, May 19th at 6:30 p.m. The Frieda Schmidt Southside Community Center. That's at 5825 Wise Road. Later that night, Colonial Village Neighborhood Association is actually meeting at 7 p.m. at Grace United Methodist Church. That's at 1900 Boston Boulevard. Later in the week, Luton Rich Neighborhood Association will be meeting. That's May 21st, 7 p.m. at Mayflower Church at 2901 West Mount Hope. And then the Southwest Action Group was actually set to meet this Tuesday, realizing that a number of Southwest Lansing groups were meeting that same night. They have decided to reschedule their meeting. So the Southwest Action Group's next meeting will actually be Tuesday, June 2nd at 6 p.m. And that's at the Southside Community Coalition at 2101 West Holmes. Want to recognize the South MLK Corridor Improvement Authority for their beautification day this past Saturday. We had at least a few dozen volunteers out really just more than anything, cleaning up the corridor, incredibly critical corridor for Southwest, really all of South Lansing, sorry. Geographically kind of situated right down the middle of South Lansing. But there were some folks there that I want to specifically call out, and that would be La Mulata's Yaneli Lopez. So if you haven't been to that restaurant at 5334 South MLK, please do. Not only are they residents of Lansing, invested in Lansing by way of their small business, but also incredibly involved in terms of just community advancement, and we certainly appreciate them. Amanda and James DeFries, both of 517 Coffee at 6030 South MLK. So if you have an opportunity to get out and support them, please do. Beth Clark with Eric Cycling was with us. We have Brent Forsberg with the Lansing Growth Fund, so we certainly appreciate him being here or there. Chaz Carrillo with the Hispanic Chamber. Brad Simtab and Joe Neller with Simtab Properties. We had Paul Anderson with the Southwest Action Group on hand. And then we also have Melissa White, Don Sober, and Jeremy Matthews, all with the Corridor Improvement Authority, all there to help out. And we certainly want to thank Kalia Washington with the LEDC, who helped to, along with Melissa White, coordinate the event. And then lastly, speaking of the LEDC, I wanted to recognize Alex Watkins. Alex is actually an old former Eastern High School drumline partner of mine. And so he graduated way back in 1999. But in any event, he has served the last few years with the LEDC as a small business development coordinator and has done a tremendous job, I think, particularly supporting small business owners and operators maybe outside of the historic core. So as an example, in some of those areas where maybe they haven't seen the historic kind of technical support, whether that be from city or organizations such as the LEDC. And I think of, as an example, La Mulata, and I think of a couple businesses that I actually saw him work hand in hand with on South Cedar, but just did an incredible job during his time here in the city of Lansing. He is actually relocating outside of the state, so he is leaving us, but I wanted to thank him for all of his efforts while he was actually employed with the LEDC. Thank you.
Thank you. Others? I've got a couple. The West Side Neighborhood Association wanted me to pass along a couple events. On Saturday, May 30th from 9 to 2, they have their St. Joe Park, neighborhood cleanup, with the rain date being on the 6th. It's organized by West Side Pride. The St. Joe Park neighborhood cleanup is open to all Lansing residents, not just West Side neighbors. The more hands, the better. Bring rakes, brooms, shovels, blowers, mowers, and gloves, and as a surprise, I'm told there will be coffee, donuts, and water. The second annual WNA Flea Market is Saturday, June 13th from 9 to 5 at St. Joe Park, 2125 West Hillsdale Street. Vendors and sellers from across the city are welcome. To participate, there is not an arbitrary requirement that you be a West Side resident. Spaces are $25 for a 10 by 10 spot. For both events, for information, contact Mitzi Allen. And then also, just as a reminder, we do not have a meeting until June 8th, and on June 8th, there is no committee of the whole.
Okay, we are to community event announcements. If you have a community event, we'll give you 1 minute to tell us the details.
So, sometime this month, we'll be doing our Neighborhoods in Bloom for the boulevard between Cedar and the Service Drive. That is, I think, between like the AutoZone and the, I think it's something like Wild Bills or something. Don't know if it's going to be this weekend or next weekend, but either way, we're going to be planting our flowers into those flower holders. Also, on August 8th, will be the date of our neighborhood picnic. I'm sure you already know that. And we have currently designated July second Wednesday, I think, for our next neighborhood meeting. So please stay tuned to get our and get out for our neighborhood. So that's all saying. I'll yield the rest of my time.
Thank you. Any other community events? All right, then we are to the close of registration for public comment on legislative matters, which consists of the public hearing, item 3, as well as items 4 through 13. So items 3 through 13, if you wish to sign in, we'll give you about another minute. And with that, we are to the mayor's comments.
Deputy Mayor.
Good evening, thank you. Two things. First, I'll speak to the
storm that kind of surprised us a little bit today and ripped through Lansing and really across the state. Talked to our Board of Water and Light General Manager about an hour and a half ago, and there were about 3,700 customers without power and 60 or 70 outages. The number of outages has actually gone up as more have been reported, but they have already resolved more than 2,000 of those customers affected. So it's staying at about 1,650 customers impacted right now. It might be 70 or 80,000 across the state, but the Board of Water and Light has been actively working on these outages. Most of these are small single homes or just a few homes, so it's a whole lot of places that they have to visit, but they have crews on the scene and working on it right now. A reminder for residents, if you have tree branches that are fallen into the road or onto the sidewalk, you can report those using Lansing Connect. That's the most efficient way for us to respond. And also, if you want the city to pick those up, follows normal yard waste disposal guidelines, which means 2 inches in diameter or less and 4 feet long or less will be picked up at the curb when your yard waste is picked up, or in yard waste bags. So that's the first announcement. Really a great job to the board for already getting on this and taking care of a lot of customers. The onesie-twosies could take a bit to get to, but they're working through the night until they get them all taken care of. The second bit of news was broken last Friday, but the city's going to put out an announcement tomorrow, and that's a congratulatory announcement to our own Fire Marshal, Jared Nish. He was selected as the 2026 National Fire Protection Association Fire Marshal of the Year for the United States. So that's a great honor, and he's going to be awarded at a convention in June. And we just wanted to congratulate him. It says that the award recognizes a fire code enforcement professional who demonstrates outstanding leadership in achieving code compliance through education, community collaboration, and proactive risk reduction efforts. And if any of you have met or worked with Jared Nish, he is polite, professional, and loves to use data and really just get in the community and make things better, and very well deserved, and just wanted to congratulate Jared Nish on this award.
Thank you.
And we are to public comment on legislative matters, and as I said, that's action items 4 through 13, as well as item 3 is a public hearing on the city tax and debt dashboard.
For the public hearing, we'll have Councilmember Carter.
Thank you. As stated previously, this is amending Chapter 218 to provide for the creation and semi-annual update of a city tax and debt dashboard. So this is just one of the anticipated ordinances from the newly adopted charter mandate. And so this ordinance would add a new section to the city code requiring the city to publish this dashboard on a public web page. The dashboard would include 2 things: a breakdown of every millage the city levies, including property tax, dedicated millages, debt, and special assessment millages with rates and dollar amounts, and then a breakdown of every city debt instrument, bonds, revenue bonds, special assessments with principal, interest rate, and payment schedules. And it would be going live on August 1st, 2026, and to be updated twice a year by August 1st and February 1st. And with that, I move the...
Okay, our first speaker is Frederick McLaughlin, followed by Nicholas Zandy. You have up to 3 minutes to address the council.
Okay, Frederick McLaughlin, 1407 West Holmes Road. Just wanted to raise some points in regards to the financial statements that the city keeps track of and also reports on. In relation to the design of the city, it's especially important to me. The city really is, it's mandated to do infrastructure, provide fire protection, police protection, and similar items, but it's only recommended to do economic development Along that line, what I would like to see happen is I'd like to see the same level of emphasis toward community development that we see toward, what is it, MEDC, LEDC, LEAP, there may be some others in there. I'd like to see a similar intensity of focus on what the city is actually mandated to do as opposed to recommended to do. So, as I say, it's recommended to do economic development, but it's mandated to keep track of its infrastructure and so forth. And in regards to the infrastructure, that really needs to be it needs to be focused on how it relates to the actual design of the city. So, for example, we're putting money toward infrastructure now, but it's largely replacing what's already there. And the things that are changed are relatively minor. We're trying to sort of satisfy all needs. So the recent Michigan Avenue project is, it's a modest start. But I don't really know why there are 2 lanes headed toward Lansing and 1 lane headed back toward East Lansing. Maybe there's a purpose to that, but it invites more traffic, faster traffic. I'd like to see that reduced in size. The way you can control the speed of the traffic, such as I've mentioned that I live next to, is you can make the streets narrower, make it in the driver's interest to drive safely. Signage and so forth is not going to do it. There are some other things I will be mentioning later on in regards to the standards from which the ACFR, which is the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, is drawn. There's some recommendations that I want to speak to later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Nicholas Zandy.
Thank you. Nicholas Zandy, president of the Old Everett Neighborhood Association, the neighborhood where Malcolm X spent most of his childhood. I'm here to speak on the resolution of Resolution 11, that is number 11, that is the urging the U.S. government to pursue diplomacy, de-escalation, and peaceful resolution in Iran. Now, I'm going to speak very clearly what my stance is on the war. It is an unnecessary, unneeded war that says it's motivated by freeing Iran from tyranny, which I am not here to defend Iran's theocratic government. It is definitely not a defensible regime. However, we are merely doing this. What we're actually doing going into this war over is mostly oil profits and aligning with an apartheid state in the Middle East that has cost many innocent lives within their own country and within other countries by invading them. And saying that, I do not think we should continue pursuing a war with Iran, and we should absolutely pull out whenever necessary, and we should definitely pursue a peaceful effort in Iran so that we don't end up in another regional war in the Middle East. I mean, I don't know if any fellow young men like me would actually want to be drafted at this point, and I hope that I'm not drafted. But having said that, we need to make sure that that it does not descend to the point of a total war, and we need to stay out of the Middle East and pull out permanently in the Middle East, because this war is only going to cost so many lives and cause so many problems. And regime change in Iran would cause so much instability in the country, with so many groups with their own agenda fighting against each other, and probably another ISIS forming on our hands if that ends up being the case. Considering what happened in Iraq and Afghanistan, the same thing could happen in Iran, but on a much crazier scale. And also considering that Iran has a much more stable government than the Taliban has ever had, during their rule, that would make occupation even harder to even accomplish at all, or even a land invasion. So we need to stay out of this war because it's already striking it wrong has killed so many innocent people in schools, mind you, and we absolutely need to stay away from this. And pardon some of the holographic stuff, but I'll yield the rest of my time.
Thank you. We are to the referral of the public hearing item 3,
Ways and Means.
and we are to the consent agenda.
Vice President Palavanoglou.
Thank you. I move that the consent agenda be accepted as presented.
It's a proper motion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And resolutions for action, item 11, the de-escalation in Iran.
Councilmember Cost.
Thank you, President Spatafor. This is pretty straightforward. This resolution falls in line with the several votes the U.S. Senate has taken, which, as everyone knows, Congress is responsible for declaring war. We have not declared war. This has dragged on. It has continued to cost locally Lansing residents, as you can see at the pump. All of us can see that, and in the grocery store now. On top of the humanitarian crises that this obviously is causing in Iran and the instability within the entire region. So this calls for the immediate end to an unauthorized military escalation and unlawful war with Iran, and it urges the President of the United States and Congress to pursue diplomacy, de-escalation, and a peaceful resolution instead of continued military conflict. So with that, I would move the resolution.
That is a proper motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, item 12 is the budget.
Vice President Palavanoglou.
Thank you, President Spatafor. We are now considering the proposed 2026-2027 fiscal year budget. The mayor had presented the proposed budget to council on March 23rd of this year, and at each committee of the whole meeting since that time, we have had budget presentations from each City of Lansing department. This budget does consider fee changes for various city-provided services. The total amount of the budget is just over $307 million, with $182 million approximately in the general fund. We are also considering budget policies, and those policies address additional administrative budget transfer authority during the fiscal year. Those various funds were discussed during the committee of the whole, and with that, I will move the acceptance of the budget.
That is a proper motion. Is there discussion on the FY27 budget? I would like to thank everyone at this table for actively participating in, as the process Vice President Palavanoglou laid out, the series of meetings that we held on the budget. I'd like to thank the Finance Department, Jake and his team, and others across the city, as well as the department heads for being here, and the numerous conversations I know each of us had about priorities with folks in the city and without. I'd highlight a couple things I'm excited about is the public safety. We're adding new LPD detention staff, freeing up 5 officers to return to the streets. I know that's a big priority for a lot of folks at this table. We're adding 6 officer positions via the new state revenue sharing grants. In neighborhoods, we're talking about $1.5 million for sidewalk repair, increased road paving, and everyone's favorite continuation of the CSO separation project, but we know that's necessary. We're, in terms of violence prevention, we have about $325,000 for advanced peace, $100,000 for the Lansing Empower Network, and the continuation of the violence prevention coordinator. For community services, we're adding 2 new 311 staff to assist with first line calls for city services, 2 code compliance officers, and 2 solid waste officers. There's a lot in $307 million, but there's a couple highlights I wanted to highlight. And with that, I would ask, Councilor Hussein.
Yeah, and I just wanted to be, it was actually Councilwoman Lopez that made a comment, I think during Committee of the Whole, that, there was a lot of discussion and things of that nature, but referenced the fact that Committee of the Whole went incredibly quickly, and there wasn't a lot of comment with regard to budget. I don't want people to mistake that as if, maybe this council didn't take this process seriously, and maybe the administration, right? To that point, didn't take this seriously. I've been on council long enough. There is actually a charter requirement that council puts forth budget priorities by October 1st of each year. And frankly, I would say many years ago, that was kind of an exercise in futility, in that we would work really hard on those budget priorities, and we know that budgets reflect a city's priorities really. So we would deeply engage our constituents prior to putting that forward, and then it would kind of go nowhere, right? So we would actually get the budget in March. There would be really no recognition of those priorities, which is actually also a requirement of the charter, that as part of the transmittal letter, there's actually a recognition of those priorities and some measure of explanation in terms of how those priorities were addressed. The last few years with Mayor Shore's administration, I think you guys have done a fantastic job, and really almost an unprecedented job in terms of actually recognizing this council's work and working to balance that, obviously, with different departmental requests and things of that nature. And so certainly appreciate it. I think of the $1.5 million now that we're putting into sidewalks. When I first was on council, my first year, we were putting $200,000 into sidewalks. So certainly not enough for all 600 miles of sidewalk in terms of restoration, in terms of gap closure, in terms of ADA accessibility, et cetera. But I think that's just one example where we're kind of marching the ball down the field. Also, the recognition of a resolution that this body passed not too long ago with regards to, and I see a couple of our representatives of the fire department with us tonight, but recognition that we are not where we need to be in some of our departments, such as the fire department, when we look at staffing, daily staffing, and the fact that we need more, obviously, bodies in those departments, but we also need competitive wages and benefits and things of that nature. So I know that in partnership, we're working toward that end. We actually have a budget that reflects an additional 3 firefighters, as an example, in this year's budget, and that comes on the heels of last year's budget, in addition of another 3. And so hopefully we can consistently and continuously, again, partner with the administration the way we have to ensure that nights like this aren't knockdown dragouts like they used to be, but rather kind of a celebration of the partnership, not just between the 9th and the 10th floor, but also our community. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Hussein. Anything else from the body? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, we're to ordinances for passage. We have an ordinance of the City of Lansing, Michigan, readopting the codified ordinances of the City of Lansing. The ordinance was read a second time by its title, and it was reported from the Committee of the Whole.
Vice President Palavanoglou.
Thank you. Everything Clerk Swope said. And in addition to that, the codified ordinances, essentially, we go through this exercise on an annual basis. We're readopting them to ensure that the ordinances published are current, enforceable, and consistent, that they're easily searchable and able to be viewed by members of the public. The ordinances that we're discussing are from the date of their entry through December 31st of 2025. And with that, I will move the resolution.
That's a proper motion. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, if the clerk would please call the roll.
Councilmember Navarez Martinez.
Yes.
Councilmember Palavanoglou.
Yes.
Councilmember Spatafor.
Yes.
Councilmember Carter.
Yes.
Councilmember Garza. Yes. Councilmember Hussein. Yes. Councilmember Cost. Yes. Councilmember Martinez.
Yes.
8 yeas, 0 nays. The ordinance is adopted.
Thank you.
And with that, we are to speaker registration for public comment on city government-related matters. We'll give you another minute to sign in on a yellow sheet in the back if you wish to speak tonight. And with that, we are to referral items.
Vice President Palavanoglou.
Thank you. I move that all items be considered as being read in full and that the proper referrals be made by President Spatafor.
That is a proper motion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
We have from the clerk minutes of boards and commissions.
Placed on file.
From the mayor, grant acceptance, Michigan Humanities Council touring grant,
Ways and Means.
and purchase price threshold.
Ways and Means.
Communications and petitions, 10 communications from Allison Peeler on various matters.
Placed on file.
We are to remarks by council members.
Anyone else this evening? Thank you.
Remarks by the mayor or deputy mayor.
Or deputy. I'd just like to echo the same comments that Councilmember Hussein said. It's been a collaborative process this year, and Jake Brower, who's still sitting in the audience, really worked tirelessly to get this together, and he's changed kind of the tone of our response by starting with those priorities that council passes and trying to show how we address those priorities with our submission. And we appreciate the opportunity to collaborate and do this. So thank you.
Thank you. Nope.
Then we are to public comment on city government-related matters. First, we have Justin, followed by Kenneth Heigelman. You have up to 3 minutes.
Justin Conklin from Lansing Firefighters Local 421, Vice President. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, council members, and members of the community. On behalf of Lansing Firefighters Local 421, I want to sincerely thank you for following through on the resolution that was passed last year to begin adding 3 to 6 firefighters to the Lansing Fire Department yearly. While Local 421 believes that much more is needed, we would like to highlight the continued commitment all of you have made. In today's world, it's easy for resolutions and promises to become words on paper. What matters most is action, and tonight we want to recognize this administration and this council for taking action and honoring the commitment made to public safety, to firefighters, and the residents of Lansing. Over the last decade, Lansing has experienced tremendous growth in emergency call volume. In 2015, the department responded to just over 19,000 calls for service. In 2025, that number climbed to more than 27,000 calls for service. That is a 43% increase in workload, while daily frontline response staffing has largely remained unchanged. Also, another interesting note, as Deputy Mayor Mumby spoke of the recent storm that just clipped through Lansing. Lansing firefighters responded to 47 incidents in a 60-minute time period. Every day, our firefighters and paramedics continue to answer call with professionalism and pride. They show up for fires, shootings, overdoses, cardiac arrests, and every imaginable emergency. But increasing call volume without increasing staffing creates pressure not only on the system, but also on the people serving it. That is why this resolution that council fulfilled for a second year in a row is important. Council members led the charge last year, passing a resolution to add 3 to 6 firefighters per year. And Local 421 is simply humbled by the members of council that have reached out, have listened, and have took action. Adding 3 to 6 firefighters may sound simple, but to our members and our community, it means safer staffing levels. Relief for our exhausted crews. Local 421's ultimate goal is this will strengthen our numbers that we can have more people going out the doors for Lansing's emergencies. IFF understands there is still work ahead. Staffing challenges across the fire service are real. Recruitment and retention continue to impact departments nationwide, and we are seeing it right here in Lansing at all-time highs. With dozens of members leaving the department in the past 18 months due to resignations, we hope to have strong ideas during this upcoming contract negotiations. But tonight is not about asking for more. Tonight is recognizing progress and acknowledging leadership when leadership follows through. Thank you again for your support of all the members of Lansing Firefighters Local 421, and most importantly, the residents of Lansing.
Thank you. Next, we have Kenneth Heigelman, followed by Tasha Canty.
Hello, I'm Kenneth. I live at Fabulous Acres on Garden Street, and recently, for the past few years, we've been dealing with a household that's really a public nuisance. It is just affecting everyone's mental health. It's just, I'm autistic, I'm sorry. Basically, the house is just, they're being harassing, they're calling everyone names, especially when some people ask them to be quiet because they're always revving their engines, being loud at night, racing down the street, being just dangerous all the time. And when you ask them to be quiet, they just turn it up or get louder. And it's, to be honest, really affecting my mental health. And I'm just trying to make my voice be heard today because my mother is selling her household because of this incident with this household. And she really shouldn't have to, in my opinion. But it's messing with her health and her mental health too. And it's just getting hectic and it's just not stopping. And anytime I go outside, I don't even go out the house. I try to stay inside as much as I can because whenever I go out to do normal everyday things like go get the mail, go mow, or do other activities outside, I get harassed. I get called cop caller, Chewbacca, because I'm very hairy. But that's really just it. And thank you for hearing my voice.
Thank you. Next is Tasha Canty, followed by Joan Warden.
Hi, my name is Tasha Canty. This is not my first rodeo with neighborhood negligence in this residence, 141 Garden Street. 8 years ago, I came down here. My grandmother owns the Park Barb Deacon Tot Lot. When I was a little girl, I grew up in that neighborhood. Jerry Neal, Bill Fabianche, that was our first policing officer in that neighborhood. Betsy Lightfoot, Rudy Barnhill, they all started something called Fabulous Acres to clean the neighborhood up. Now it's went backwards. They're tired. Half of them have passed on, and I picked up the torch. I refuse to let renters that are a public nuisance come into my neighborhood that they fought so hard for and tear down what they built. The people across the street, like my neighbor said, I'm willing to put my house up for sale. I'm willing to check myself into CMH to get some rest at this point. My daughter is borderline personality disorder. She's tried to jump out the window. She tried to commit suicide on 496 not even a year ago because of these people. My son is autistic, just like my neighbor. It has done stuff to them, and this has been going on for 6 years, and before that, it was another set of renters in there before that, where the mayor and another city council member that used to be up there, Jody Washington, they marched the streets with me, and we got them removed. I will not stop until they are out of there. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Jason Warden, followed by Kyle Richard.
Thank you for listening to me, council members. My name is Jason Warden. I currently help my girlfriend and her kids on 140 Garden Street. This is basically about the same thing. I've been harassed. I've had my tires popped over 3 times by these people. These are grown adults. They're not little kids. We've been threatened, told that they're gonna kill us and shoot us. We've called the police. The police tell us that, they don't have a direct threat. We were told buy some cameras. We bought cameras. We got probably 80 videos of the most obscene, crazy things you guys could possibly see today. We got one of them actually driving through the yard of his house, which is that's like a simple thing compared to what else we have on video. We've been trying to get some help for this now for a long time. I've known her now for about 2 years. We don't know where to go. We've pretty much tried to get paperwork for it. The paperwork's not gonna get us anywhere because we don't have a direct threat, so we can't get a PPO on these people. There's 10 people living in this house. None of them go to work. We're pretty sure there's a drug ring going on. They're at home and out and in and out all day. They never go to sleep, ever. None of them. One of them works for PJ's Trucking. We're pretty sure that he's dealing the drugs or buying them. And somebody pulls up, we got video of the guy's truck pulling up and them handing each other drugs continuously. It's something that definitely needs to be looked into. It's dangerous. We have them lighting fires in their yard. The cops have pulled up, watched the car sit next to a bonfire while they light it. Music turned up so loud it's knocking stuff off our walls. If we say anything, they just harass us more. The police don't do anything, so then they think they can get away with it. I have much respect for the police, so let me just say that first. I know you guys are pretty low on police officers, and I get where that comes from. We just really need some help. We don't know who to turn to or what to do. That's why we decided to come down here and hopefully have somebody reach out to us to let us know what we can do to try to get this taken care of, because our neighbors in our neighborhood are amazing. Like she said, it was called Fabulous Acres, so it was fabulous at one time, but now we got all these evil people living across the street, and they're the only problem. Everybody else is amazing, and we all get along, but these people are just, they're terrible. So thank you for hearing me.
Thank you. Next, we have Kyle Richard, followed by Ivan Drosty.
Good evening, everyone. Kyle Richard, 4th Ward. I'm down here tonight because a neighbor asked me to be. I'm here tonight to speak in favor of a moratorium on camp sweeps in the city of Lansing. The first camp sweep that I was ever in proximity to was in 2020. It was at the back 40. It was the week of Christmas. I was in some chats, and we heard about a big winter storm coming in. And people were saying that the camp was running low on firewood. You know me, I got dry firewood in my house, in my shed. And so I went out there with some firewood, and the volunteers that were there asked me to hang back and just kind of be there with the folks at the camp while they went and ran an errand. And so I was there at the camp for a bit, and got to hear folks' stories, their experiences in the city of Lansing and with experiencing homelessness. And during that time, I got a phone call from my boss because I had work obligations later that day. And I explained the situation to my boss. I said, I'm down here at this camp, that the city's gonna sweep this camp. And my boss says to me, Kyle, it sounds like you're making a choice. And, the most recent camp sweep that I had any proximity to was again at the back 40. It was this year. There was another big storm coming in. And I was out there with the Tenant Resource Center passing out backpacks and food and water and hygiene products. And as we were getting ready to leave, 3 cop cars pull in, and they start going around and telling the residents that essentially you're gonna get trespassed tomorrow, regardless of this big storm. Now, my understanding is that did get pushed off, but it did eventually get swept. But I think this comes back to choices. Every camp sweep is a political choice. Like every camp sweep is a political choice. The housing crisis is real. Now is the time for big ideas and creative solutions. And so I'd ask stop the sweeps, pass a moratorium on camp sweeps until another solution can be found. You have a choice, and I'd ask you what you will do with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Ivan Drosty, followed by Ariana Brown.
Ivan Drosty, Ward 3. Real quick, I just want to start with an apology. At the last meeting, I claimed that Councilmember Carter said something that she did not. So I should be more precise with my language. Moving on, I'm getting real nervous that the Mod Pod encampment is not going to be up and running for this winter. And the previous winter was brutal. And, the thought that we could go an entire year without addressing this problem even a little bit is really just kind of inconceivable to me. Look, I mean, the reality of the situation is what it is, right? So if we're honestly going to tell ourselves that we can't have the Mod Pods up and running before this winter hits, then we need to be thinking about some alternatives, right? So what can we do so that we have at least something in place before it gets cold out again, right? So, can we at least give folks a place to go where they know that they're not going to be harassed and removed? Can we pass a moratorium or something to that effect to allow people to sleep in their cars overnight or in their RVs or whatever the case may be without being harassed and removed? We need to do something. Last week we had a resident of this city tragically die, a completely preventable death, because their home was swept and they had nowhere else to go. The city offers them no help. Their support network crumbles away, and this is what happens, and it's going to continue to happen. And I just can't imagine that we're okay with that. The problem is not going to solve itself, right? We're not just going to wake up one day and find that, oh, hey, all the unhoused people in the city, they all got back on their feet all by themselves. No, the problem is not going to go away unless we do something to help resolve it. The obligation falls on us, and I really just hope that behind the scenes that y'all are working as hard as you possibly can to get something in place before this winter to help folks out. Because I'm going to be honest, the perception, in this side of the room, so to speak, is that it doesn't always look like that's happening. And I know that sometimes there's a discrepancy there. So if you're working on that, that's great. Help us be involved.
Thank you. Next, we have Ariana Brown, followed by Sean Mulholland.
All right. Hey guys, I'm going to try to keep it short. So you guys have seen the price of gas right now. You know it's absolutely ridiculous. You guys are looking at a budget. So just you also understand everybody at home, they're looking at their budget too. We've been in a housing crisis for a minute. Everybody who's been making ends meet with DoorDash, with Uber, gas prices just took that away from them. All right, so we're in a position where people are being squeezed and squeezed and squeezed and squeezed. And there's no relief. So I just need you guys to start thinking about, okay, where are we gonna draw the line? If gas is higher, if the price of 1 gallon of gas is higher than the federal minimum wage, is that the emergency line where we say, okay, we need to call the governor. We need to figure out what our options are. We need to put everything on the table and act like this is an emergency. Because this is not getting better, this is getting worse, this is very serious, and gotta do something. So let's get creative.
Thank you. Next, we have Sean Mulholland, followed by William Walker.
Hi, thank you for allowing me the privilege to speak today. Let me start off by saying you can't unscramble an egg, okay? So I'm an addict, I'm homeless. I'm not helpless. My name is Sean. Above all, I'm human, okay? So I went and I go dumpster diving, and I find all my resources in the trash to build my own shelter, my own buggies, my own bikes. I have to fix them. I steal nothing from no one. I lie? No, not. I do not rely on public service whatsoever. Okay, I'm not on welfare, nothing. I do this on my own accord. I go through the parks and I pick them up. Now, I'm here to tell you that I have lived in these camps, and it is treacherous at some camps, like the Fallen Angels camp. There's a big cover there, okay? I've been beaten, but I've not struck back, okay? I'm more human than that. I have the right to be angry, but I do not have the right to act out on my anger whatsoever, okay? And these people do not understand that there's a better way. So how about I go through the streets, I pick them up, okay? I'm from upstate New York. I've been here 3 years. And I believe that in feng shui, our world is a product of us, and we are a product of our world. Now, we can simply offer the Granger Company, Wagner Company, right? $100 tax write-off per bag for trash. And then we designate, hey, look, this area needs to be picked up. I went through these, some of these places, and I've been pricked by needles that have been buried in the ground. Now, I have to go get tested here in a couple months, and I'm in a right-away test. I'm not happy about this. And these are local parks where the children play, where the dogs are, where life is itself, and you get to be relaxed. How can you relax in an environment like that? You can't. So when you plow these camps, all you're doing is forcing that in here, into the city. You're not giving them a place to go. I don't care if you want to go do your little heroin or whatever. Just keep it over there. Be responsible about it. Keep it in check. You don't have the right to act out any sort of human whatsoever, period. And I just think that there's so many better ways. It's so easy, and it costs nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing. Just educate them, Show them a purpose, give them hope, It all starts here with you guys. I have the belief in you, all of you up here. And thank you again for allowing me the privilege, and that's really all I have to say.
Thank you. Next, we have William Walker and then Frederick McLaughlin.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, I've been here for the last 3 years talking about the homeless situation. You guys know it. You see it on the way to work. You see it everywhere you go. It's time to have some definitive action. We're talking about the pods. Too bad we're not doing anything about the pods. What we're doing is bulldozing people out of their homes. Maybe we should have a resolution against bulldozing until after we do something with the pods. The issue of the pods came up over a year ago. We could have made plans to deal with them because what I heard was you guys already had them. Why hasn't plans been made? I've called around to find out what is the holdup. And they've told me the infrastructure behind it, the programs, coordinating all of this. And that sounds good. But that should have been done years ago. You people are intelligent people. You go out, you get gas for your car, you most likely fill it up because you know you're going to have to use it and run all year or all week. So what we need to do is start addressing these issues, leave the homeless alone unless they are presenting a public danger. But this just makes no sense to keep going through this. But I've been talking this for years, deaf ears. Next time I come here, we're gonna pray on this one. Another issue I feel, a resolution against the war, no. You guys don't know enough about the war. My concern is, number one, before I go anywhere, I do not like the president at all. But Iran cannot be allowed to have nuclear weapons. Right now, they're bombing innocent countries during a peace ceasefire. What would they do with nuclear weapons? Terrorizes me. But at least I don't live in the Middle East. It's time for us to back up, let the federal government fight the federal war. I hate to say this, but Iran cannot be allowed to have nuclear weapons.
Thank you. Next, we have Frederick McLaughlin, followed by Nicholas Sandy.
Thank you. I just want to finish up on the information I was mentioning about the accounting for the city. I really hate this stuff. It's just it's really hard for me to focus on it. But the annual comprehensive financial report comes from the Government Standards Accounting Board, which also has a statement of recommended practices. Those recommended practices, what they do is they take all the complicated figures that are really not sorted out in a way that you can translate them into the kind of actions that you might want to envision that the city might take. But those recommended practices result in being able to track the trends that result from the city's annual report. So it's extremely important. What I mean by that is it gives you a sense of the sustainability. How well can we sustain the current track that the city has? And all of this it's already, this is a document we're already using, but we're not using the recommended practices. And those are extremely important for tracking sustainability. Also, how much flexibility do we have? Do we have the ability to, even if we're sustaining ourselves, can we respond fairly quickly? Do we have options? What are those options? And all of this is tracked by those additional recommendations, and they're extremely important for organizing what do we do with this document. Do we just see it every year and see whether or not it's balanced? We know that we don't have enough in the budget to pay all our annual debts. I mean, that's why every year you decide what streets to fix, what sidewalks to fix, what infrastructure elements to fix. The final category that this recommended practices tracks is vulnerability indicators. So if we are able to sustain ourselves and we have some flexibility to respond within that sustainable set of conditions, are we vulnerable somewhere that we simply can't prevent? There is one other item that I'm especially concerned about, and that is with the extreme emphasis on infrastructure, we run a significant, and I want to emphasize that, a significant possibility of ending up unintentionally in a Ponzi scheme situation. And that's why I want to emphasize this can happen whether it's intended or not.
Thank you. Next, we have Nicholas Zandy, followed by Lee Scott.
Thank you. Nicholas Zanny, president of the Old Everett Neighborhood Association, the neighborhood that Malcolm X grew up in. And I am here to speak about what happened just yesterday on Sunday without any explanation given, and that is there was a localized power outage within the Old Everett neighborhood as well as adjacent neighborhoods like the Greencroft Park neighborhood. I don't think any of us have ever been notified that there was going to be a power outage if this was even planned, considering that it was a very clear day that time, and if it had something to do with the construction, why didn't anyone there ever notify us or knock on our door saying, hey, there's going to be a power outage or something? That was the most, all I've seen of this is that this was the most incompetent and most what's the word I'm looking for? Just overall bad thing that I've ever seen within this neighborhood. Like, as a leader of this neighborhood, I should speak for most of my neighbors that we absolutely need to be notified if there's going to be a, quote, planned power outage, unquote, and I ask that you call BWL and maybe Consumers Energy to see what was going on and why the power went out just randomly yesterday. I mean, we'd have more of an excuse to have a power outage considering that there was a storm earlier today. Though, I mean, considering how high gas prices have been getting since that stupid war in Iran, nobody really asked for, probably caused it. Again, not defending their current regime. It's a theocratic government. I'm not here to defend it, but I don't think war is necessary, and it's raising gas prices, and the council has every right to call it out. Just saying. But having said that, we really need to be mindful of our electricity, and the city also needs to be mindful of whenever power outages happen. And if it's a planned outage, which I don't know if that's even legal except in very specific circumstances. Maybe it was because of the construction of that prison or something, I don't know. But all I'm saying is that we need to seriously call out BWL, and maybe if they don't notify on time everyone in a certain area that an outage happens, then they should face consequences. Maybe at least a fine from the city or something, I don't know. That should have, and I'm not saying that for homeowners, I'm talking about the people who actually run the BWL. They should be fined if something like this ever happens again. Or at worst, they should definitely be sent over to court for doing something like that, because that is unacceptable, and there are people who need electricity to even live. And considering the homelessness issue, this is incredibly bad. That's all I'm going to say. I'll yield the rest of my time.
Next, we have Lee Scott, followed by Eli.
Good evening, Council.
I'm Lee Scott. I'm a resident in the east side of Lansing here on Hafer Avenue. Back in June of 2002, I was having a Father's Day dinner with my family, and it came to me, my Father's Day dinner turned into feeding the homeless, about 18 people out of the Foster Park. From that day to this one, I've been helping the homeless people. And since that day, I've been homeless myself, now 7 months, because of an incident that happened at my house where the water was kicked the pipes in my house because I got a red tag for having my gas off. Friday night at 4:58, I left my home as they had instructed me to. And on a Monday morning, returned, so I'm able to work in the home Monday through Fridays. When I got into my home, 8:20 Monday morning, the whole entire house was soaked, pipe been kicked open, and water soaked the home. That because the Lansing Police Department went into my home and kicked the door in at 7:15 at night. I was told prior that he's coming if we wasn't at the house. We was never at the house after 5 o'clock until Monday morning. Today I say this because we got too many people out here are losing their homes. Right now I can't afford to pay. We just put $30,000 into the home back in January. We can't afford to keep putting the money in the home. My recommendation, I don't understand. Lansing is a beautiful city. I've been here 51 years from Georgia. I'm the youngest out of 14 kids. But we need to, instead of putting people out of their home and losing their homes, we need to come up with some type of resolution to give them money to help build their home, to keep them in these homes. We got more houses being tore down or getting raggedy because they're sitting up. Since my home been red tagged, I've had 2 break-ins. The house is destroyed. I'm gonna leave a copy of this whole thing with you for the records, but I will probably return and send you some photographs later on. But we need to recognize our homeless people. Eli's coming up next, and I work with her now. I'm with the Love Thy Neighbor ministry she's with the Art and the Hafer House ministry at Grow, and she runs some of the gardens over there. We need to recognize that these people got problems, but we still need to recognize that they are citizens also. Like the gentleman mentioned earlier, you see them on your way to work, sometimes you see them on the way back. A lot of them are not troublemakers. They just want to be heard. I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning just when somebody knock on my door. I can't let them go on because what happened tomorrow morning if they committed suicide is on my shoulder. I thank you, and I will return next week, and babe, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our final speaker is Eli.
All right. Oh, I can't see quite. Okay. You spoke very beautifully, Lee. All right. Hi. I'm Eli, Eastside Floodplain resident and house organizer for the Rent is Too Damn High's Homeless Union Eastside chapter. I'm back this week to continue with the next installment of our Fighting Unions campaign to address this housing crisis promptly, safely, lovingly, and with minimal cost to the city and taxpayers. We are here to request that the City Council pass a resolution implementing an immediate moratorium on encampment evictions and on the enforcement of parking regulations for unhoused neighbors who are living out of cars or campers while working towards permanent housing. We hope the city will embrace a 2-pronged approach by supporting both the Safe Parking Lots campaign and the Safe Summer Camps campaign, which you will be hearing more about briefly in council comments and at greater length in our letters and emails in the coming weeks. We are grateful that this city is exploring forward-thinking solutions to this housing crisis, including the Nova Lansing Housing Initiative and the Tiny House Mod Pod community, and hope to hear more updates soon. We trust that you are dedicated to ensuring the long-term health and safety of all residents. We appreciate you passing the landlord relocation rule, which will now require landlords to cover relocation costs when a house is red tagged. That's excellent. And the major changes that you are making to the red tag system, including the creation of black tags to delineate structural damage from utility shutoff. It's very important. Keep people in their homes. While you are focused on this higher level systemic work, policy development, and zoning adjustments, we hope that you will empower those of us who are working on the front lines of this crisis and understand the situation on the ground to provide the immediate data and guidance needed to manage the daily realities of triage, allowing us to collaboratively lead initiatives like the Safer Parking Lots campaign and the Safer Summer Camps campaign that protect our neighborhoods right now. Rent is Too Damn High organizers like myself and Lee were out this week pounding the pavement, discussing these and other issues with our neighbors to ensure that these campaigns are representative of all stakeholders, including housed and unhoused residents alike. We look forward to sharing our findings and working with you over the coming weeks and months. Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
That is it. With no further business before the Lansing City Council at 8:10 p.m., we are adjourned.